Hello, everybody. This is Philip Martin, and welcome to OnFilm on video. I've been working here. You can't see all the stuff that's on the desk here. I've been kind of messing around in the studio, and I just want to take a few minutes and talk about what this weekend, what's opening today, and how things are going. Because I think I said last week that I had a sense that the movie theaters were actually coming back, and that was confirmed to me this week by Matt Smith, who owns Riverdale as well as a few other theaters around the state, and he confirms it. Yes, business is booming with the James Bond and Halloween Kills, and this week the French Dispatch, which is an amazingly nice film. It is, if you're somebody who really likes Wes Anderson movies, and I'm not sure that I fit that description. I like most of them, but there's been a few that I've sort of like, well, okay, that's kind of twee. That's a little bit, something. But if you are a Wes Anderson fan, this is the movie for you. The French Dispatch. It's just amazingly good and delicious and rich with detail and all the stuff that you really like about Wes Anderson, the peculiar architecture of his films, the symmetry, the performances, the sort of, dry but off-kilter, worlds that he surveys. Oh, boy. I really enjoyed it. And we've got a gushy review by Piers Marchant and Keith Garlington, who was at the theater and saw the film same time. I think his reaction was similar to what mine was, like, oh, goody, oh, goody. Now, it is Wes Anderson. And I've been a Wes Anderson fan since Bottle Rocket. In fact, I wish I was the sort of person who archived my email and saved my correspondence, because right after Rushmore, I think I wrote a review of Rushmore, I wrote something about Rushmore. I got a message from Wes Anderson's mother, whose name I'm not going to say because privacy issues or whatever, but she has an unusual name. And I became convinced it was actually Wes Anderson's mother who was sending me these emails, because that's who she said she was, and some things, that she said in there checked out. And it was an interesting correspondence. It went on for, I wouldn't say it went on for 2 years, but it probably went on for 18 months, where she was, regularly writing to me about, different things about film mostly, and not necessarily about her son's work. But we had a little bit of a correspondence, and I keep up these correspondences with, any number of people. I mean, they're regular emailers, and there are people that who I've never met who I correspond with, and so like I said, I wish I'd have kept this, because I would have liked to refer to it now, because I don't know exactly what we talked about, but I do think it might be interesting in light of the new Wes Anderson film coming out, which I do think is probably, Piers in his review put it like under Moonrise Kingdom and maybe under another, I can't remember what the other film that he liked maybe better than this was, but he talked about it being the best distillation of that style in that sort of that worldview, that aesthetic sense. And it is the most Wes Anderson movie ever. And if you happen to be like I am, like a 30-year subscriber to the New Yorker, and actually longer than that, because the New Yorker has been part of my life ever since I was a little kid, and you get the insiderness of it being like a issue of the New Yorker, and it being a kind of love letter to not necessarily journalists, but to the New Yorker writers and that stable of writers. I mean, I thought it was really funny. They had a writer who never wrote, who just haunted the halls for 30 years. And if you know about the New Yorker, you will know who that's an allusion to. You could see the William Shawn, illusions. You could pick out who the writers were sort of supposed to be. Luc Sante, who's the most modern one, who's sort of parodied in this. It's really delicious. Like I said, it is something to sink yourself into. I could watch it again right now. But it's going to be a hard sell to people who don't get, Wes Anderson movies, who don't like Wes Anderson movies. It's a lot like the Coen Brothers movie from a couple of years ago, Buster Scruggs, which it's an anthology film, and that means there's several different stories that are presented, and it's all under the umbrella of it being an issue of the French Dispatch, which is a weekend supplement of a newspaper, of a Kansas newspaper. So it's really, it's very dry and droll, sort of. It plays right into my hands. It really, really goes after my sensibility and the sensibility of people that read the New Yorker. I mean, really, it's sort of like that's the sort of audience it is. It's just a warm hug. It's a warm hug. Thank you, Wes Anderson. I mean, I don't often say that, but really, thank you. It's the first time we'd been to a screening too in probably 2 years. I mean, I talked to this point before that the way most of the time movie critics see movies these days is we watch them the same way. Well, we watch them on screens. We watch them in our hands. We have the iPad or the phone, and now I'm able to throw them up on the TV. But I haven't been to a theater. I've been to a theater 5 or 6 times. Okay, been to see a few things. But we've been very careful during all this about the sort of things that we will go see and the sort of things we don't go see and what we're willing to put our double vaccinated selves out there on the line for. So, I've been to a few movies. The theaters have not been crowded when I've been in there. But this was the first time I've been to a critic screening in 2 years, and that's remarkable. And I think we're going to have another one in another week or so. And maybe we're going to start doing that again in Little Rock, Arkansas. Those who've paid attention to this know that I have complained about the fact that we don't get many screenings here. We never have. At least we haven't for the last 10 years. And I understand that. And it's, one of those things. It's kind of hard to to run a weekly section devoted to movie reviews if you can't review the movies. Now, we've been able to work around that, and that's really noticeable this week. If you look at our section, you'll notice there's 3 reviews by Piers Marchand. Thank you, Piers. You did a great job. I think there's one by Frank Garlington, who's also doing a great job, and who is going to be more and more a part of it as it goes along. I mean, Frank has got a great little movie blog that he's been doing for several years, and I would invite you to check that out. Keith, what did I say Frank Garlington for? My God. I apologize, Keith. I'm not going to start over because I'm 10 minutes into this, but, Keith Garlington. And, Courtney Lanning has moved on, but she's still going to contribute to us occasionally. And so, we've got 3 of us based in Arkansas. We've got Karen Martin, myself, and Keith. Not Frank, where Frank is. But got 3 of us based here, but we get a lot of our reviews from screenings in Kansas City, screenings in Philadelphia. I get invited to screenings in Dallas and in Atlanta. And, back in the 90s when we actually did stuff like this, I remember I would actually fly to Dallas, watch a movie, and then fly back. That happened on more than one occasion. And it was, a nice way to do it. I mean, it's sort of like Southwest. You get on a plane, uh, take a cab or whatever. Yeah, usually it was. Usually you'd have to take a cab, I guess, in Dallas to the theater, watch the movie, take a cab back to Love Field, fly back to Little Rock, and you're here for supper. I mean, it was a different era. We don't do that anymore. Um, I am going to Crystal Bridges in a couple weeks, and thankfully we still try to cover our state. We still do the necessary stuff, but we don't do the things that we used to do. And who does? Yeah. Anyway, the other things are opening this week, and I'm really interested in this. Piers did not like it very much, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not sure I will either, but. Last Night in Soho, I really want to see that because I'm a fan of Edgar Wright and his movies, and this one looked really intriguing to me even before. It sort of fits with the Halloween because it's a murder, or it's a horror movie, and it's a throwback horror movie, and I don't really know what the plot is. I know what the review says, and, Piers didn't like it. That's fine. I want to go see it anyway. The other one is another kind of horror movie, is Antlers, and I'm sort of disappointed in the reviews. And Piers also reviewed that for us. I'm sort of, disappointed in that because I hoped that Scott Cooper's movie would be better. It doesn't seem to be, but that doesn't mean you can't have good fun with it. I mean, people have different. I don't know. It's a movie like Halloween Kills, even though I'm a fan of David Gordon Green. The director, I'm not going to enjoy that movie the same way I might something like the Edgar Wright film, because I think that David is actually doing the horror, and he's a real fan of the genre, and he really wants to do a real Halloween movie. A real Halloween movie doesn't really appeal to me, but something like a takeoff on the Hammer films, it's by Edgar Wright, yes, I think I would be more interested in that. And Antlers, I don't know. I thought I was interested in that, but as the weeks have gone on, I'm not so sure. Anyway, God, there's another film opening that we don't know anything. They just snuck up on us. It's either a romantic comedy or a drama. You can't really tell from the trailer, A Mouthful of Air. And it's sort of being dumped this weekend. I don't know why. I was hoping to get a review of it, and failing that, I was hoping to get a Wire review of it. And I'm going to go back and look one more time after I finish this to see if we actually came up with something. But no, we hadn't yet. But the theme this week is this is the week where it really feels like the movies have come back. And where I'm really excited about getting out to see two films, I've already seen The French Dispatch. I will likely watch it again. If I had someone to take to the movies that I wanted to show them, this is the movie I would go to. I would say, come on, let's go. Even if I'd seen it already, all right? Karen loved it too, and she's more of a Wes Anderson skeptic than I am. So, wholeheartedly endorse that if you are a Wes Anderson person. If you don't like him, you're probably going to hate this more than any of the other Wes Anderson things because it is the most Andersonian of any of them. But, that's where I want directors to be as much as they are themselves. Okay, movies are back. Go out, see them, be safe. Take your precautions, and we'll see you next week. Take care.